Guys are having a great day because, I mean, not gonna lie, I kind of am.
I know it's a stretch, but
Today's
maybe you operate that mechanism used in the bridge.
that's not it. Where is it? I'm already messing up, man. This is not. When you're already messing things up, you're not doing so good. And I feel like I kind of jinxed myself at that moment. But yeah. So today I have a story called My Insane Ex, and this is about one of my exes, not naming, because I just don't do that. No, I'm not the type of person to go out of my way and just like, well, now get trolled. I'm going to expose you identity. So for this story, we're gonna call the boyfriend Chad, and we're gonna call the girlfriend Monica. So very recently, Chad had broken up with Monica. I don't have the exact date, but this is kind of how the breakup went. So, or no, this was about a few years ago. So Chad had broken up with Monica, and he broke up with her on a particular Monday, and it, the only thing that Chad had kind of a problem with was staying away from his exes. He's been kind of known, instead of leaving his exes, he kind of just tries to I don't know if it's like be with them, but he kind of tries to stay friends with them. And to some people, it can get pretty annoying, while to others, they don't mind it. So Chad, being Chad, he decides to stay with his girlfriend. And Monica, who is the ex-girlfriend, goes, "Oh, I need at least like 6 weeks of closure." And that Monica was like, or no, Chad was like her last chance at dating anybody, and then after that, she's like gonna be done or whatever. Right, right. So then what happens is, oh, and keep in mind, Monica's like 28. Chad, I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that Chad is like 25 years old. And so Chad shows up on Friday, or no, on Friday, Monica shows up and says, "Hey, Chad, I'm gonna let you go, but by the way, I just want you to know that I'm pregnant." So Chad, obviously being Chad, kind of like is very surprised by this news because he didn't realize that well, dang, what during a time that we were dating, um I guess I got her pregnant. Gosh darn it. So then Chad, being a little surprised with himself about he doesn't exactly know what to say. And so after that, she basically kind of Monica just kind of leaves the scene, so to speak. Just kind of like not fully leaves, but is like, okay, well, see you tomorrow. And so then what happens next is that Monica calls him the next day, and it says, "Hey, we're going to the ER to look at the pregnancy stuff." And so they go to the ER, and then later that day, basically Chad gets a call from Monica, and it turns out to be a pregnancy. And now I know this is a very personal topic, but to be honest, like these kinds of stories are honestly like worth sharing. By the way, give credit to r/ask Reddit user Lobo. I'm pretty sure, yeah, Lobo. Thank you so much for sharing the story. Anyway, back to the story. So um so Chad basically answers the phone and goes, "Hey, what's up?" So Monica goes, "Oh, so it's a tubular pregnancy," and basically, needless to say, she needs to take an abortion pill. Keep in mind, abortions, whether you're taking a pill or not, usually requires surgery. And for any of you who've had surgery, you all know how that feels. The feeling to have surgery beforehand of having surgery. So at this time, Monica is pretty unstable and asks Chad to come over that night. And so Chad goes over to his ex girlfriend's house, even though thinking like, "Hey, we're just friends, nothing go wrong, nothing. You know, what's the worst that can happen, So Chad goes over to his ex girlfriend's house, and pretty much spends the night. But then the ex girlfriend does something somewhat unexpected. So she decides that, like, even though they're not dating anymore, it kind of looks like they would still be dating, like if you saw what happened. So Monica takes Chad's hand and puts it over the basically like just puts it over her stomach, and after that Chad basically says goodbye. So after feeling obligated to go at least. So then uh Chad gets up and goes to leave, but Monica starts crying and basically just is like, "Oh, if you leave, I'll hurt myself." Which some of us knowing about this kind of thing, um, we kind of know where this goes, right? Like, I'm sorry, but I want to break up with you. And then the girlfriend or boyfriend usually pulls out their little quote unquote trump card and goes, "Oh, well, if you leave me, like, like this is my last chance of dating. And if you leave me, like, I'll hurt myself." Which Chad did not fall for that trick. Chad knew exactly what he was doing. And so he decided to stay the night just in, like just to make her feel somewhat better. And so what ends up happening next is that Chad kind of got freaked out by that, but by just the idea of her pulling kind of one of those things. So then after that, he basically wakes up the next morning and it's like, I gotta go. So basically, Chad wakes up and just kind of makes a like a bolt out of there, so he doesn't have to deal with this. And that Monday, Chad gets a phone call from none other than Monica herself, and basically says that I'm still pregnant. And apparently, according to her, she was carrying twins. The big 1-2 double deuces, double trouble gangster kind of kid. And basically, Chad kind of freaks out at the idea of that, and he and Monica basically was like, by the way, I'm carrying twins, and the one twin had survived. And so Chad decides to go with her to the appointment. Okay, well, moral support time, Chad, let's go. So Chad goes with her to the doctor's appointment. She said, fine, it's on Wednesday. And however, on Tuesday, Monica calls her and Monica texts him and says that they had an opening on Tuesday, so they decided to go early, and basically asked if he wanted a picture. Chad being Chad, he said sure. Um, so Monica sends him one, and now here's the weird thing. Chad looks at it, and there's no information on it. So he asked her if like about it and why there's no information on it, and Monica decides to go, oh well, like they'll email it to you. So then what happens next is that not so they do end up emailing it to her or to him, and basically uh like it originally it made sense to remove all identifiable information. So but 2 days later, one of Chad's friends with better Google FU, either that says Wi-Fi or FU, than him, took a picture of the document and actually was able to find it online, which is the funniest thing in my opinion. That okay, like why would this girl basically lie about this kind of, like what reason would there be to lie about this and be like, yeah, here's a picture of my twins. I'm just gonna send you a stock photo of what they look like because you know what, like in my opinion, you don't get to like you don't deserve to see them like in that kind of tone. That's not literally what Monica said, but it was just tone. So then what happens next is that you could even see where parts of the image had elements removed. So Chad confronts Monica about it and basically says that Monica says that she couldn't believe that I would believe her and my child would never know. So basically, just on threat level of like, well, now I can't believe that you believe the fact that I sent you a stock image, told you it was my child, and then you thought, oh my god, it's my child. So she kind of threatened him with the old, oh, like by the way, you're never gonna like the kid's never gonna get a part because you sucked as a boyfriend, according to Monica. When, however, it was kind of the other way around. So then, what happens next is one of two things. Well, actually, no. I'm just gonna say two of two things. After the confrontation, Monica says that her lawyer wants to be in touch, and so lawyers kind of lead to it can be one of two things. One, oh crap, I'm gonna go to jail, and oh thank God the lawyers are here so they can figure this out. Not like it won't be a problem, stuff like that. And so the lawyers get in touch with Chad and basically by email saying that she was going to have the abortion. However, Chad needed to pick her up and pay for it. So about 5 minutes later, Monica sends an email saying that if Chad doesn't respond, then she's keeping the child for herself and Chad doesn't get it. So Chad responds back by saying that he had found the image, showed her the link and the image, like both in like full screen and And Monica goes, "What?" Basically surprised that he was able to find his kid. And so what happens next is that she kind of not in like a fit of fury, like she isn't trying to like play fisticuffs with him, but is basically just kind of like you ever see like one of those Karens in like the shopping mall and like when you call them out on their bluff and they know you're right, they kind of start stuttering and are like, how like, and it just basically tries one of those with him and is like how did you figure that out and all this other stuff. So then is like trying to say like it's 1 to like 5 million that there's a chance of that being even real and like how could she tell that or that how could he tell was a fake. So she continued to harass him and basically like both just kind of sending threats of oh you'll never see your child and you like your child yeah won't even know who you are, it doesn't even matter, just, your child will never know who you are, end of story. So then a while after that, Chad basically gets protection against that and is just kind of like, I don't need this right now. To be honest, like I'm sorry, but no, I genuinely don't need this. If you have like an actual child, I want to see the actual child. And so, uh, basically, 2 weeks go by and nothing comes up. Right, all is silent. Kind of like Silent Night in the middle of a Christmas story or whatever. Like that one song, Silent Night. And if you guys know it, then you know it. So, which I'm pretty sure something. And I'm also deciding to do a semi-long video because I had seen that my last long video kind of went really well. So I'm deciding, you know what? Let's just put up. By the way, if you want to see my last story time, it was really short, but I do have some good videos on Twitch of some pretty good gameplay from Daylight, Star Wars, like I have a few games out there is what I'm trying to say. So like please go look at that. Do as you wish with it. You know how it is. So then after 2 weeks of hearing nothing, Chad gets a call from none other than the girlfriend's house number. Now keep in mind, Chad had blocked her original number after the constant harassment that he got from her. And what happens next is that what happens next is that he gets a call from her house phone number, and basically, it's none other than Monica's cousin. And for this, we're gonna call Monica's cousin. Um, what's the name for like a douchey cousin? Like the one cousin that you genuinely just don't like. Like they're kind of like the worst cousin. So, all right, you know what? We're gonna call her Joey. So yes, Joey is both a male name, so I am deciding to go with Joey. Now, Joey basically calls her or calls Chad from the house phone and goes, "Hey, this is Monica's cousin and lawyer. So yeah, so you have to deal with me now." And so basically, Monica's cousin Joey sounds very much like Monica. Like it's semi possible that they could honestly be twins, which I could genuinely see. Like it wasn't like really hard to see them being twins. Like they both sound the same. They kind of have the same personality. To be honest, with same, right? Am I right? So then what happens next is basically Joey goes that Joey's going to be her lawyer, and that if Chad calls back, then they can get straightened out. Here's one problem. The one problem here is that it's on Monica's house phone, so you could easily tell that either one, this is like some next level fake crap, or two, this is like a legit thing where it's actually Monica's cousin. However, though, Chad was smart enough to not believe this, and it was like, you know what, you're like low key fake, so therefore I'm not going to answer. And this, by the way, all of this was happening in the course of over 3 weeks. For the last almost month, Chad is kind of like in an unbearable, just kind of like, bro, how do you manage? Is that like that's my first question, right? How do you manage with this? I know this video wasn't super long. Moral of the story: don't date insane people who kind of will act like a crazy person, and on top of that, act like a complete child. That's right. It I don't know, just for some reason, just adults with like personalities of just being like a 5 year old or so. It's just kind of like why, like you know, like I mean, call me insensitive, but to be honest, like she really did not have to fake that it was her cousin, and she could have honestly just been, look, it's me. I know you said that if I kept harassing you, like things would not go well for me. And she could have apologized for all of this and just kind of made up with him, but instead, she pretends to be Monica, or she pretends to be Joey. Sorry, the story's confusing. I'm like trying to play and talk at the same time, which I kind of found out is not the easy. So yeah, so Chad basically like after these 3 weeks kind of has a better life, like is like doing some nice things in his life now. Isn't like with her anymore, and basically, like is just living his life the best way he can. So props to you, Chad, for escaping this wench, and yeah, I genuinely give props to you for kind of escaping this hellhole that you kind of like got in, and like I said, props to you, man. Like I hope you're having a great life right now. And yeah. So by the way, if you don't like this video, I know I said this last time, but I'm gonna say it again. I, if you don't like this video, I'm not kidding. I'm not even joking. I'm just following the rules. But General Grievous, extremely battle damaged from Star Wars Battlefront 2, will come out of the video game and basically light you up like you almost lit up Kobe. That's right. I kind of talked to EA, and they were pretty okay with it. With allowing General Grievous to escape the EA and Star Wars world to come go up like a whole ass Christmas tree. I don't know why I said ass, but just ignore that. Like a whole Christmas tree, In fact, no. Maybe he'll light you up even like on fire too. Like he'll light you up on fire, and on top of that, we'll just like it'll just become a whole mess that you won't be part of. So thank you all for coming, and this is gonna be like one of my very first story times on YouTube. And I hope everyone who sees it greatly appreciative of the story that I have shared today. Rest in peace. Actually, no, not rest in peace towards Monica, because Monica kind of deserved that comment if she kept harassing Chad. So yeah, I mean, kudos to Chad though for not giving up and like completely going back into the relationship. And that's all for today. So as a very nice and handsome pig once said, that's all for today, folks. On the next lunch video.